Hello there and welcome to another episode of Quick History. Today we're going to be looking at Adolf Hitler and the Munich Putsch in 1923. As always, there is a link in the description to give you a free handout. Click on subscribe if you like what you see. Let's get into the details. Before we look at the Munich Putsch, we've got to ask the question first of all, who was Adolf Hitler? Well, Adolf Hitler was a failed Austrian artist. Hitler had fought for Germany in the First World War, not the country of his birth, Austria, and was actually in a hospital recovering from the effects of gas when he found out that the war had come to an end in 1918. Hitler had been awarded the Iron Cross for bravery and believed that he, alongside the rest of the German army, had been betrayed by the November criminals who'd signed the armistice. He believed that Germany never lost the war, but that the Weimar Government and these November criminals had given up. And for Hitler, that is something that fed his political ambition all the way through from 1918 to the moment he becomes Chancellor in 1933. It was the Weimar Government who had let Germany down, not the German army. Hitler was actually at the end of the First World War still in the army, and he was sent by the army to spy on the German Workers' Party, a very small extreme party that operated out of beer halls in Munich. After seeing some of these meetings firsthand whilst he was spying on the group, he actually decided to quit his role in the army and join the party itself. And by 1923, Hitler was the leader of the German Workers' Party in Munich. And he believed that by 1923, the time had come for this Nazi party, which he was now the leader of, to not only take over the governance of Munich and Bavaria, but the governance of Germany itself. And in 1923, Hitler and the Nazi party lead something called the Munich Purge. The Munich Purge took place on the evening of the 8th of November into the morning of the 9th of November 1923. Adolf Hitler and a group of Nazi supporters stormed a beer hall where the leader of Bavaria, a man called von Kahr, was speaking. Hitler announced that he was taking over Munich and that it was time for a revolution to take place in Germany underneath his leadership and the Nazi party banner. He attracted the support, interestingly, of a man called Erich Ludendorff. Now, Erich Ludendorff, if we've been doing conflict and tension, you will know, was a former German general held in very high regard by the German troops. And Ludendorff was a strong supporter of Adolf Hitler. Hitler believed that with Ludendorff's support, the people of Germany and the former soldiers of the German army would rally to his cause. They could seize Munich and then march to Berlin before taking over the government. The issue is that the people of Munich were not too keen on that idea. And as Hitler and his supporters began their march through Munich, the Bavarian police and the Munich police force met the Nazi party and Adolf Hitler on the streets of Munich. What happened next is one of the most interesting what-ifs in history, because as the Nazi party and Hitler tried to advance past the Bavarian and Munich police, they started to fire. The Munich police and the Bavarian police fired on Adolf Hitler and the Nazi party. 16 Nazis are killed, and the person next to Hitler, interestingly, was killed, and Hitler dislocates his shoulder as the man next to him was dragged down. Obviously, one of the great what-ifs of history is if that bullet had been a couple of inches to the right, the history of the 20th century may have been very, very different. Alas, we only deal in the facts, and the fact of the matter is that Hitler survived the Munich Putsch, although the Putsch itself failed. Hitler was arrested, Ludendorff was arrested, and they were both put on trial for treason, which is a very, very serious thing to be committed of. It can lead to death. However, Hitler was tried for treason and found guilty, but was given a very lenient 5-year prison sentence. And after all was said and done, Hitler only served a total of 9 months in Landsberg prison. He used that time whilst he was in prison to write his very famous book, Mein Kampf, which means My Struggle, where we find lots of Hitler's ideas and how he believes Germany should be governed inside. And Interestingly, the judge at Hitler's trial was quite sympathetic to Hitler and quite impressed by Hitler's speeches, gives him the lenient sentence, and Ludendorff, another member of the Munich Putsch, was actually given no sentence at all. He didn't go to prison for a single day. As a result of this, Hitler goes to prison, as I mentioned previously, and it's during this 9 months in prison while he's writing his book, Hitler makes a very, very distinct decision. He understands that violence, such as the Munich Putsch, or such as the Spartacist rebellion, which had failed as we looked at in the previous video, or the Cat Putsch, which we looked at in the previous video, or the Red Rising, which we looked at in the previous video, violence was not going to get him power. What was going to get Hitler power was democracy. So whilst Hitler is in prison in 1923, he makes the decision that the Nazi Party will no longer try and take power through force, through violence, but they're going to try and take power through the ballot box. They're going to try and get elected to take over Germany, rather than seize power for themselves. We'll see how he gets on in some later videos. As always, there is a free handout in the description where this will help you get into the Munich Putsch and who Adolf Hitler was. Click on subscribe if you like what you see. I'll see you in the next set of videos where we start to look at what life was like between 1923 and 1929 in Germany. I'll see you then.